So one morning I come downstairs and he's out at the bus stop and bus is coming and his homework is sitting right there on the table. It's beautifully done, by the way. So smart. And I look at the homework and I'm like, well, I have to be at the school in an hour. Ooh, but I can't take the homework to him. So I get on Facebook. Lest you think this is easy for me, know that my son's homework is sitting on the table right now and I have to go to the school in an hour. What should I do? Post. And I wait, stalk around the house a little bit. And one of my friends, Lisa Heffernan, who writes a blog called Grown and Flown about getting older children out of the house, that's on the bibliography too, or at least it's on the one on my website. She comes back and she comments, you know I respect you, Jess, but I don't agree. If your husband left his phone charger on the table at home, you would take it to him. Because we also want to model for our kids that we do things for the people we love. We've got each other's backs. And I was like, damn. Is she right? Am I wrong? What do I do? What do I do? So I stalk around a little bit more. And then I realize, and I get back on Facebook, yes, I would take my husband's charger to him at work, but I'm not raising my husband. I am raising a kid who can't remember how to get his homework in the backpack. So I take a deep breath, I make some cookies because I gotta do something, and totally miss my deadline that day because I'm too preoccupied, and I wait for him to come home. I'm like tapping my foot, waiting for him to come home, and he comes to the door and I say, hey sweetie, how was your day? And he says, it was great. And I said, really? Because some homework over there on the table. He said, oh yeah, I forgot my homework. I said, yeah, I know. He said, yeah, I had to do some extra problems during lunch, but Mr. Dano and I had a meeting and we talked about ways that maybe I could remember my homework. And we had this really great idea. I could make a checklist. It's like, that's brilliant. And he did. He made a checklist. And that same checklist has been on our refrigerator for 2 years. It's featured as art in the New York Times in my column a bunch of times. First item on it is clothes. Now, if my son forgets his clothes in the morning, we have a much bigger problem. But backpack is on there, and lunch is on there, and homework is on there, and feed Abby, our dog, is on there. And a couple of other things depending on what he's interested in at the moment are on there, and that is how he's remembered his homework 98% of the time. He has a system. Now, if I had taken that homework to school for him, I would have gotten to check off a box on my own really, really, really important checklist. The checklist that I check off at the end of each day in my head. Was I a good parent today? And the easiest moments I have for checking off that box are when I take the homework in and he looks up at me and he says, oh, in front of all of his friends, oh, Mommy, I love you so much. You're the best mommy ever for bringing my homework in for me. What would I do without you? That's how it goes in my fantasy life. But really what happens is you hand it off and he could care less. If I had taken that homework, I would have been able to check off that box at the end of the day. I did this wonderful thing for my son, and I was a good parent today. I supported him. But here's the problem. If I had taken that homework, he never would have had to do a bunch of really important things. Talk to his teacher. Talk to an adult about something he did wrong. That's a huge thing. He was in 4th grade at the time. He and his teacher never would have had that moment to sit down and come up with a strategy that works. And it doesn't always work the first time. Maybe they have to come up with 4 strategies for him to figure out the one that really works for him. But that's what tweendom and middle school and those grades in particular are all about, coming up with strategies. That's what should be on our checklist. Not, was I a good parent today? But in a year, am I going to look back and say I was a good parent?